Fur can seem like such a daunting task with drawing, so in this video I'm going to go over 5 tips that might help you in improving with drawing realistic fur. If you are interested in learning all about drawing realistic wildlife and pets, I have 1 to 4 hour long real-time drawing tutorial videos available over on my Patreon. For just $10 a month, you will have access to a growing library of drawing tutorials, as well as a new tutorial each month, plus many other rewards. You can sign up from the link in the description of this video or find me over on Patreon at Jessica Matheny. The first thing that is going to help you improve with drawing fur is studying fur. You should study plenty of photos to give yourself an accurate feel for how it looks, and of course, practicing drawing fur is going to help you also, but providing yourself with some good reference photos to study and learn to get it right is going to really help you out the most. The next thing that's going to help your fur look realistic is making sure you get a good base color in. Analyze the lightest areas of the fur in your reference photo and select the necessary colors you're going to need to make that color. Or if you're working in graphite, assess the correct value or shade and use a lead hardness that closely matches it. Then fill in the area you'll be working on with that color or value, and for colored pencils, you will want to blend it in well. This is going to help the whole fur building process go much smoother for you if you can get that base color or value in first. Tip number 3 is to practice drawing one fur type at a time. It's much easier to learn and stay focused when you focus on one type of fur. Draw it a lot and master how to do it before moving on to drawing other fur types. Much like focusing on a small area of fur to draw, this focused learning perspective is really helpful in mastering to draw just about anything. After all, an entire drawing really is just a bunch of focused areas that us artists work on. But when you are learning, it can seem really daunting to think about the entire subject you may be drawing because it's supposed to all blend seamlessly together. The next tip is something that I mention often, and that is to think of fur as shapes. Don't get carried away with making a bunch of fine hair strokes because that's what fur is, right? The better way to approach it is to use a dull pencil and worry about getting general color shapes in instead of using a sharp pencil the entire time. That also takes way too long in my opinion using a sharp pencil unless you're working on a close-up facial shot where you want to go for those details. Otherwise, it isn't necessary for the fur to look realistic. Identifying shapes with fur is much easier on long fur, for example. On this Cocker Spaniel, the hair strands are a bunch of shapes with gradients. Tip number 5 is self-critiquing. I think this is probably one of the most important learning tools you can do for yourself, is to assess your work when you're finished and compare it to your reference if you have one, and go over the differences between the two. To assess where you could make improvements next time, or change the way you did something to make the outcome a little different. If you aren't actively thinking about improvements and how you can make those improvements, learning to get better will be a little bit of a steeper climb. Now, you don't have to beat yourself up over your mistakes. We all make mistakes, trust me. No matter how together some of us artists may seem with our work, we still mess up, and we have to make corrections as we go. The thing about fur though is it's much easier to correct those mistakes, especially if you're doing your layering properly. When critiquing your work, be sure to always bring out some positives about your work too. Be proud of the things that you've done well. Don't just focus on the negative things and where you need to improve. Feel good about your work and understand that it's a happy balance of noticing your mistakes and noticing your strong areas too, and being okay with it all. I've got more fur drawing tips for you to watch in the video on the top right. You can also watch the video YouTube recommends for you on the bottom right. If you want to stay up to date with my latest artwork, you can follow me on Instagram at jessica.matheny.fineart. Thanks for watching. See you next time.